Now to get to the second part, um, it goes to something that you mentioned, right? When it came to having a regular black voice and talking white. Um, to go back to some of our, elders euphemisms or expressions they used to say, they would say things like, hey, stop acting black, you talking black, or you talking white. And let's go ahead and specify what that means. To talk black, we get what people mean when they say that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like that means you're not talking well. That means you're talking kind of ghetto or rambunctiously or recklessly or just without wisdom. That's kind of what they're saying. However, we have attached blackness to that manner of speaking or acting, right? So we kind of associate in certain situations blackness with ignorance. Like we'll say, like, stop acting black, as though ignorance is reserved for just black folk, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
to switch that, stop talking white. What does that mean? Oh, you're trying to sound what you're sounding intelligent. You're enunciating too much. You're using proper grammar. You think you're better than us. So another point is some people do that ignorantly to shame somebody of color, right? Because they feel like they're not allowed to speak proper English without, oh, you think you're better. There are some who will shame you just for wanting to sound like you just have sense.
Mm-hmm.
For knowing how to fit in different social situations, they'll look at you and shame you for that. Some will act like you can only talk to black folk, sit with black people, go out to eat with black people, like very tribalistic behavior. And that's not what we're talking about either. What we're talking about is when you do that to people please, when you do that, you know, as a means of, you know, I don't want to say just putting down, people groups, but yes, it is a form of people pleasing in that you will not be your authentic self, at least enough of your authentic self around certain people for certain advantages, benefits. Yeah, it can be fake, you know. But to that end, though, again, there is a balance there where you have to be humble enough and socially aware enough, and consider it as a neighbor to know what you can speak or how to connect with one group, right, differently than how you connect with another group. Like to a
Mm-hmm.
certain degree, that's okay. Just like we'll say, like if you're interviewing for a job, you're not gonna tell a young African American man to go up in there and dap him up, be like, "Hey, what's up, homie? I'm, this and that, all this stuff." You're not gonna tell them to do that unless you want them to leave jobless. You're gonna tell them walk in,
I
look
mean,
well.
I would disagree with you, man. I would disagree. I
Yeah,
mean, I think because
so
so
you want someone walking to a job interview sounding like Snoop Dogg or
if that's genuinely and authentically who you are, be be as professional as you know how,
mm-hmm.
and be as Christ-like and respectful
Well,
as you
sure, yeah.
can.
Yeah,
And
character
and
never
and and
changes, yeah.
and the other thing is just, man, if that's who you are, because this is my thing. Certain the the society that we live in, we know is sinful, we know is racist, is biased.
Mhm.
Everybody isn't that way, but some people who's in certain positions of power or influence, they may have biases. And so they look at this guy who's white and he may speak a certain way. He may not be the most articulate person. He may not be the most eloquent person, but everybody have a certain way or slang, if you will. It just may not be hood slang or ghetto slang, whatever you call.
Mhm.
But he may say dude, he may say a bunch of different things, but they may look at him and say that's acceptable. They may not consciously think that, but they may not look against that.
Mhm.
But because you black and your culture is a certain way, and you go in there saying what's up, bro, what's up, this and that, but you could be the nicest person in the world. You can have good character, but then they're judging you off of certain terms and slang words I'm using. It's like I remember I was talking to somebody about this and I said, man, I could have a whole degree from Harvard. I could have a whole degree from Harvard. I could have X amount of years of experience in this field. And you tell me you're gonna turn me away because I called you bro, because I called you homie. It's like, come on, man. That's very superficial to me, you
Well,
know.
sure. No, I agree with that. Everybody has colloquialisms that they use. Caucasians do, blacks do.
Mm,
Everybody has them. I'm like a lot of times, I am focusing on like the worst case scenario situations. I don't mean just regular like communication. No, that, and I think in today's work field, accepting more colloquialisms has become more, accepted in the workplace. Like a lot more people are allowed to kind of be themselves. It's not as frowned upon. However, in today's society, what I will say, and I know we're not trying to drift off into like a work conversation. We're not talking about that, but it's an extension of it. In that, what I am saying is be you, but not to the point where you're alienating people around you from
Mm,
relationship with you, if that makes sense. Like
yeah,
that's
for
where
sure.
it's like the fight is of, okay, always be you, right? But in love, you want to know what things are a stumbling block to relationships with certain people or not. Like you don't want to limit your reach, if you will. You don't want to limit your relationship building skills based off of like just doing what's most comfortable for you, right? Like
Hmm.
you have to, but again, you also don't want to be a people pleaser, right? And adapt your conduct always to who's around you. Like is always a establishing of like, you know, as Christians, right? Display Christ in all things, and in displaying Christ, you understand there is no black, no white, no slave, free man. Like
Mm.
that's the focus and spirit you have to take. Like you're not deciding your character based off who's around you. You're gonna love all people regardless. So it applies in many different ways. No,
Yeah,
you don't.
I
Yeah,
mean,
go
some
ahead.
people